Welcome to Heat Checks and Hail Marys. This week, I've got a guest star. Kedric Prince is going to come, and he is going to talk a little bit about his response to my thoughts and give his own thoughts on the different Heat Checks and Hail Marys that I have. Let's look at this jam-packed week. Illinois basketball goes from the low of losing to a weak Nebraska team to Ivisic's return and a come-from-behind victory against Ohio State that was really very entertaining and a lot of fun. Illinois football lands a commitment from the highest ranked recruit in the Bielema era with five-star quarterback Victor Singleton. Illinois women's basketball keeps winning after beating number 14 Maryland on the road, despite having three players who are out with season-ending injuries. And Luka Doncic, his trade shocks the world. Talk about settling when you talk about Mavs leadership. But let's take a deeper dive into a few of these subjects. And let's go with Tomislav returns and the Illini flies high in heat check number 1. Illinois got a needed shot of adrenaline in the form of Ivisic returning from a bout of mono. Make no mistake, the Illini's best player, game in and game out, is probably Kasparis, but the team's most valuable player and its glue guy is Tomislav. Why do I say that? Ivišić allows the Illini to spread the floor offensively. He provides two players that can protect the rim when you add Morez Johnson Jr. and his shot blocking ability. Tomislav has excellent court vision, and it powers his lethal passing game. And Tomislav allows the Illini depth in the front court, which is the thinnest part of the team. Now, it was a gift to get Tomislav back. And although it took the Illini a half to hit their stride, this was the first time we've seen the Illini play up to their potential since KJ got his injury. And admittedly, he hasn't really gotten his full rhythm back since then. When he does, this Illini team could elevate even higher. Ked, what are your thoughts on the return of the big center to the Illini?
I've said it all along. The best NBA prospect on the roster may be Kasparis, but the best player on the team is Tomislav Ivisic. They cannot lose him. He was, according to Brad Underwood, 60%, not 100%. And him being 60% changes the game, spreads the floor, make players like Morez Johnson better, make players like Draymond Gibbs-Longhorn better because they're able to get to the basket. I cannot emphasize enough how important the big fella is to this roster. They need him to be healthy if they want to move on at the end of the season and have any kind of goal that they want. The big fella has to be there because teams have to guard him, and when you guard him on the perimeter, he's an excellent passer.
Yeah, I think he adds so much to this team, and I think anyone who didn't appreciate him does now. We're going to go on to Hail Mary number 1. Victor Singleton, five-star cornerback, commits to Illinois. Brett Bielema and his staff went into the heart of Ohio, and they came out with the highest-ranked commitment since the Ron Zook era. Victor Singleton was expected to select Michigan, but instead committed to the Fighting Illini. This is a huge win of a huge talent over huge competition. The Illini have gained the services of a true cover corner, a player who, according to IlliniGuys football analyst Steve Sturm, quote, is already advanced enough that he could play for a mid-major right now, unquote. This is high praise for an analyst who never attacks players, but he doesn't throw around superlatives lightly either. For the Illini to land such a highly respected player is not unheard of, but it hasn't happened for a long time. This is similar to the way it's not unheard of for the Illini to win 10 games in a season, yet Brett Bielema has engineered a 10-win season for the first time in a long time. This makes me wonder what might happen next season when the Illini take the field with a chance to have back-to-back bowl seasons or even win 10 games in back-to-back seasons? What else might the Illini accomplish next season? For the first time in ages, we can't wait for football season to be here. That's a huge change from the past. And luckily, we've got the Illini Guys Director of Recruiting, Kedric Prince, to tell us a little bit about. Ked, what did you think when you heard a name like Victor Singleton was selecting the Illini?
I know it's February, but I thought it was April Fool's, Mike. I did. Because you're right. He committed to Illinois and he picked Illinois over Michigan and Ohio State. Let's put that in perspective. Michigan and Ohio State and Oregon. This kid is a game changer. I heard your analysis of Steve Sturm. Let me tell you this. I saw one recruiting analyst said that this kid is a bona fide first-round NFL potential talent. That's how good he is. He's big. He is physical. And Brett Bielema is not hot, ladies and gentlemen. He is on fire. To get a kid like that after a 10-win season, he's not resting on his laurels. He is trying to bring in the best talent. And I know in Wolverine land and Buckeye land, they have to be shaking in their boots because this doesn't happen to Illinois football very often. And Mike, you are 1,000% correct. People are excited to have Illinois football start, and we're 8 months away from it right now.
Yeah, that is such a cool thing. Now we're going to move on to heat check number 2. Shauna Green leads her team to 17-5. Shauna Green is demonstrating that she is going to be a force to be dealt with in the Big Ten. Her team currently stands 17-5 despite having 3 season-ending injuries, limiting her flexibility with playing time and even in-game strategy. With 2 key cogs in the machine out for the season, Makaira Cook and Gretchen Dolan, it would have been really easy for this team to have a pre-made excuse for poor performance. But that ticket hasn't been purchased by either the Illini staff or the Illini players. Now, the Illini have 7 games to go before the Big Ten tournament. This includes a brutal 2-game trip to Los Angeles to play number 1 UCLA and number 7 USC. Most folks have already written the Illini off when the injuries actually hit. I see no evidence that this staff or the team has bought into that narrative. This should be a fun end of the season. Ked, you are incredibly close to that basketball team, and you obviously are close to the coaches and players. What are your thoughts on what Shauna has accomplished this year with this team?
I want to say this, the first thing right away. My first thought is I wish she would win Big Ten Coach of the Year. I do, because she deserves it. I think if I were a betting man, Michigan State's Robin Freilich will probably be the woman who wins it, but there's no way in hell you can ignore Shauna Green. Let's look at what you just said. They brought in Letty Vesconis, a 6'7" Baylor transfer who is a top 40 recruit. The one thing Illinois needed to address in the offseason was some size. They got her. And what happens? She tore her ACL. Okay, then you bring in your all Big Ten, all everything point guard, all conference player, and Makaira Cook. She wasn't healthy. She's done for the season. One of my favorite players on the roster to watch play is Gretchen Dolan. I love her shot. I love how she can get to the basket and finesse. She's done for the season. So what does Shauna do? She is literally playing with 6.5 players right now, and she is winning. She's winning with a center that is listed as 6'2". Wrong. She may be 6 foot tall if we're lucky. The thing that has been so impressive is how I watch Shauna and I'm just watching her out execute teams, and she's taking advantage of mismatches. She's not worried about what other teams are doing. She's focused on what her team needs to do and how they need to execute on offense and defense. One of the things that in Shauna Green's teams in the past, Mike, they've been a great three-point shooting team. Not this year. But they have a freshman, Downs All-American, and Barry Wallace, who's been on fire. And shooting, as you and I have both talked about, is contagious. I believe they made 10, 11 three-pointers last Sunday when they beat Maryland. So now they're shooting the three ball well. They're defending well. And they're going to get in the tournament. because they have a lot of high-quality wins. And I will tell you this, the one thing I'm not going to say that they can't go to UCLA and USC and win, because we saw what Iowa did to USC. Anything is possible. Her team believes. And here's another part about Shauna Green. She is a player's coach. In the NIL and transfer portal today, kids, all those kids could have left. Kendall Bostic, Adelia McKenzie, Genesis Bryant, they all could have left, Mike. There's a reason that they stayed, because of Shauna Green and her staff. It's a place where you want to be at. You're welcome. They treat you right. And she's one hell of an X's and O's coach, and she is recruiting at an all-time high. They're ranked 7th in the country. And the girls that they have coming in, if you're a basketball fan, you got to watch some videos. She did a really remarkable job. And I hope she wins Coach of the Year. I think it's a battle between, like I said, between Coach Shauna Green and Robin Freilich. But if I had to give a nod, it would be to Shauna, because she patched the roster together. And now everybody knows you're going to play Illinois regardless of what's happening, wins or losses, injuries or not.
Yeah, I tell you what Sean has done this year is incredible. And you take a look at what Brad Underwood's done, what Brett Bielema's done, Mike Small. You've added another super coach to the lineup of Illinois coaches. Great hire by Josh Whitman. And certainly this bodes well for Illini fans in the future.
Without a doubt. I can tell you this, like I said to you, they have the gem of the recruiting class. Her name is Destiny Jackson, a 5'7" point guard from Whitney Young. They have a girl who's on campus right now. Her name is Sierra Parchment. She graduated early. She's from Canada, and she's on campus working out. She'll be ahead of the curve. She's 6'3". There's a girl named Manuel Alves Fernandez. She's a 6'3" post player. Naomi Benson is another 6'3" post player. All of those kids, Mike, are 4-star players except for Destiny Jackson. She's a 5-star. In my opinion, she just barely missed being a McDonald's All-American. So not just, like I said, wins and losses, recruiting is going to be good. I'm really anxious to see how they attack the NIL portal this year as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a great year. It's going to be an exciting ride, and they're going to go fast. Now, the next one, heat check number 3, is Luka gets traded to the Lakers. In a shocking turn of events, Luka Doncic, along with Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris, were traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the LA Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a single first-round pick. Around the league, teams are still amazed this was all the Mavs got for a player who is not even 26 years old and has already led his team to an NBA Finals appearance. Davis is approximately 6 years older with a history of injuries. Jokingly around the house, we've called him Mr. Glass. How did the Lakers avoid having to give up 3 or even 4 first-round draft picks for Luka along with Anthony Davis? No one's quite sure. But from the way folks are talking right now, we know conspiracies will be flying around that the NBA needs a strong Lakers team, and Luka represents the post-LeBron future for the Lakers. No matter what conspiracy theories are out there, it is amazing how over the decades, the Lakers are always able to grab a player when they need them, whether it was Abdul-Jabbar after Wilt, or managing to get Worthy and Magic in Abdul-Jabbar's aging years, adding Shaq to Kobe, and then later on adding Paul Gasol to Kobe, and then, of course, landing LeBron. If there's ever a franchise that always finds a way, it seems to be the LA Lakers. Ked, those Lakers have lived a charmed life, haven't they?
They lived a charmed life. And I can tell you, when you first broke the news to us on our group chat about the trade, every day, probably every 4 or 5 hours, people who don't even follow basketball are talking about this trade, asking me what I think. I went to the post office today, and I heard 2 elderly women talking about this trade, Mike. And I'm just, you're right. Conspiracy theory, I don't know. I don't know if there's more to it. They've not said anything, but from what I'm sitting at and what I'm looking at, it doesn't make sense to anybody. And I can only imagine what the other GM, the other coaches are thinking. How does this happen? What are they doing, and how do they pull it off?
Yeah, it is. It's something that is tough for other fans to adapt to. And certainly down here in Dallas, people are beside themselves. It has definitely not been well received. I can only imagine how bad it's going to get if Davis has a serious injury and people have to watch Luka for the next 10 years. Going to be a rough one. Now let's move to Hail Mary number 2, Super Bowl Sunday. The Super Bowl is a huge game. Duh. That's why it's super. But this game may be even bigger for the Chiefs when it comes to a legacy standpoint. Patrick Mahomes is chasing Tom Brady, who's considered by many to be the NFL's GOAT. For those not involved in sports, that's the greatest of all time. If Mahomes can engineer a third straight Super Bowl victory, it would be the first three-peat of the Super Bowl era and the first since the Packers won the NFL championship in 66 and then won the first 2 Super Bowls. More importantly, from Mahomes' standpoint, Tom Brady didn't win 3 in a row. Neither did Joe Montana or Terry Bradshaw or Troy Aikman. Mahomes is looking to carve himself a legacy that no one else has done in generations. Now, the Chiefs as a team are looking to do what most thought couldn't be done in the salary cap era. They've kept the right parts together of a championship team and moved in new pieces to maintain their title winning ways. Yes, they've learned from the Patriots template, but to win 3 in a row would put them ahead of what the great dynasties didn't accomplish. Dynasties like the 70s Steelers, the 80s Niners, or the 90s Cowboys, not to mention the Brady Patriots. And of course, Andy Reid has the chance to win 3 in a row as well and move himself to only one of 3 coaches to win 4 Super Bowls. Bill Belichick has won 6. Chuck Noll has won 4. I will tell you, I wonder if Reid had not been saddled with a quarterback with accuracy issues, Donovan McNabb, in Philadelphia, how many Super Bowls might he have won there? We can see how lethal his offense is with an accurate passer like Pat Mahomes. If he'd have had somebody like that his whole career, ouch. For the Eagles, this game has one massive legacy at stake, but one can argue that what I'm going to talk about has already been accomplished. Saquon Barkley has reinvigorated the running back position in the NFL. In a passing era, when running backs are considered easily replaced commodities, Barkley has fueled a Super Bowl trip for the Eagles. It's been a long time since a Super Bowl winning season was fueled by a dynamic running back. Might those days be back again? We'll certainly find out this week. I think Saquon is a man who is on a mission. And if he can win the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles, he might walk into the era of Emmitt Smith and players like that. If you have Emmitt Smith, you talk about the running backs that have won Super Bowls, Saquon Barkley would love to join that. And in the end, my Super Bowl pick is Kansas City 27, Philadelphia 21, which probably means you should run and bet on the Eagles as fast as possible because I'm never right on these things. Ked, what are your Super Bowl thoughts going into the game?
I'm not sure I'll be able to watch it or care to watch it, but I will tell you this. The drama surrounding the Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes and all the memes and gifts, that's probably going to be better than any commercial that we see because of the favoritism that the Kansas City Chiefs have had. The NFL wants that. They need to draw some more attention to the league, which I do not blame them for one bit. I'm not a fan of either teams. I was a big Travis Kelce fan early on. I liked his little arrogance to him, but all that's worn thin with me. But if I had to pick a team that I wanted to win, and I'm not a fan of either, definitely wouldn't be Kansas City. It'd be Philadelphia. I don't want to see the Chiefs win it for so many reasons, and I'll keep those reasons all to myself.
Okay, perfect. Now, Ked, I'm going to show you the dumbest video I've seen in a while, and then I'm going to comment on it. But I want to get your ideas on this as well. This is not as close to your heart as it is to mine.
Also evaluating where it didn't go right in terms of this drought that people say we're in terms of a championship game or a Super Bowl. And
this drought, air quotes, drought, as if it's not real, 28 bleeping years, and you haven't been able to get a team back to the Super Bowl. A franchise that had 8 Super Bowl appearances, a franchise that was 5-3, a franchise that could have been there for many more. Your dad get rid of Jimmy Johnson because he was getting too much credit for a Super Bowl. Old Jerry would rather get 100% credit for a pile of turd than he would for sharing credit for a Super Bowl trophy. And when he used the little air quotes around the word drought, I haven't seen air quotes used that poorly since Joey Tribbiani said, "I'm sorry," and he had to be told by Ross that, Joe, you're using them wrong. I don't think he understands what air quotes are. And if you can't call 28 years of whiffing a drought, I'm not certain what a drought is.
Mike, I will tell you this. There's a show right now that's really hot and popular in America. It's called Landman. Billy Bob Thornton is one of the famous actors in it. I don't know what series it was, or excuse me, what season it was, but Jerry Jones was on that show. So instead of being an actor and being involved with what's going on in Landman and this TV show hosted by one of the streaming services, he probably should get his organization in tune, in fact, and about winning or trying to win a Super Bowl or even get to a Super Bowl. So this whole acting thing, I guess they're milking it because you're right. I know it's America's team, and I know it hasn't been for a long time. I know you're down there in Texas. But instead of, like I said to you, worrying about getting on TV and trying to be something that he's not, put a team together and give America something to cheer about, because the fans would love to see Dallas in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen for a long time, and I hate to say it, but Jerry's probably going to have to pass away. And then now that I see Steven using comments like that, I'm like, oh, great. Maybe, I guess that's the beauty. If you paid for it, you can screw it up, and the rest of us just have to deal with it. Folks, thanks for listening or watching this episode of Heat Checks and Hail Marys. Ked, thanks for coming on. We wanted to go through some of the things that have happened this week and just have a quick conversation. If you enjoy this, of course, you can go to the IlliniGuys.com YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe. That way you get all of our stuff. Go to IlliniGuys.com. That's where you can get all the comments when Ked is talking about people we're recruiting and people that might want to be paying attention to because they may be willing to commit. You get those on the message boards. Those are things that we keep behind the paywall. We would love to have more people go to IlliniGuys.com and subscribe and be a member. That would be fantastic. We kept our price at the same place it's been since we started in 2021, and we'd love to have more members there. Until next week, folks, go Illini.